All right, let's start with something brutally honest. Most of us are drowning. Not in water, but in overcomplication. We wake up to a to-do list longer than a CVS receipt. We try to please everyone. We chase 14 different goals at once. We manage 5 social media accounts and try to start 3 side hustles. We wear busy like a badge of honor. But then we end up collapsing on the couch at 8 p.m., brain dead, scrolling TikTok until midnight, wondering why, despite all that movement, we feel like we're stuck in the exact same place. Life feels like a chaotic mess. But here is the truth that society doesn't want you to know. Life is actually a lot simpler than we make it. Your brain is addicted to complexity. It thinks that if you want more success, you need more inputs, more hours, more apps, more goals. But that is a lie. There is one rule that if you apply it ruthlessly, will make your life 10 times simpler and 100 times more effective. I'm going to give you that rule in a moment, but first we need to talk about the villain of this story. We need to talk about why your current strategy of doing it all isn't just making you tired, it's actually making you stupid. Let's talk about multitasking. We wear this word like a medal. You see job descriptions that say, must be good at multitasking. Here's the science. Multitasking is a myth. The human brain cannot focus on 2 complex tasks at once. It's biologically impossible. What you are actually doing is task switching. You are toggling your focus back and forth rapid fire between writing an email and listening to a podcast, or between cooking dinner and texting your boss. Every time you switch, you pay a cognitive tax. Researchers call this the switching cost. It takes your brain an average of 23 minutes to get back into a state of deep focus after an interruption. Imagine your brain is a web browser. If you have one tab open, it runs fast, it runs smooth. Now imagine you have 75 tabs open. You have music playing in one, a video loading in another, a spreadsheet calculating in a third. What happens? The computer slows down, the fan starts screaming. Eventually, the browser crashes. That is you. That is your brain on multitasking. When you try to do everything at once, your IQ literally drops. Studies show that chronic multitaskers have lower density in the part of the brain responsible for empathy and emotional control. So not only are you less productive, you're actually becoming a worse person to be around. Let me give you a terrifying real-world example of what happens when we try to focus on too many things at once. In 1972, Eastern Airlines Flight 401 was approaching Miami. It was a brand new jet with a highly experienced crew. As they prepared to land, a tiny green light bulb on the dashboard failed to turn on. This light indicated if the landing gear was down. Now, the landing gear was actually down. The bulb was just burnt out, a $2 problem. But the captain, the first officer, and the flight engineer all got fixated on this one tiny light bulb. They were all multitasking, trying to fly the plane, talk to air traffic control, and fiddle with this light bulb. They got so distracted by trying to solve this minor problem while managing the flight that nobody noticed the autopilot had accidentally disengaged. The plane slowly lost altitude. They were so busy multitasking that they flew a perfectly functioning airplane right into the Florida Everglades. It is one of the most tragic examples of a phenomenon called task saturation. Now, you might not be flying a jet, but you are flying your life. When you try to fix your diet, start a business, repair your relationship, and learn Spanish all in the same week, you are task saturated. You are fixating on the broken light bulb, and you don't realize your life is crashing into the swamp. So what is the antidote? What is the rule? Here it is. Write this down. Do less, but do it better. That's it. Simple, but dangerous. Because if you actually follow this rule, you have to say no to almost everything. Most people live life like they're juggling 15 flaming torches while riding a unicycle. It looks impressive for a minute, but eventually, you're gonna get burned. But the people who live calm, focused, high-output lives, they do less. They pick a few things that actually matter, and they go all in. They understand that energy is a finite resource. If you spread your energy across 10 projects, you make 1 millimeter of progress in 10 directions. But if you put that same energy into one project, you make 10 meters of progress in one direction. That is how you break through.
This applies everywhere. Let's look at the masters. First, Steve Jobs. When he came back to Apple in 1997, the company was collapsing. They had dozens of products, printers, PDAs, different versions of computers. It was a mess. The first thing Jobs did, he didn't hire more people. He didn't add more products. He killed 70% of Apple's product line. He drew a simple grid on a whiteboard. Consumer, Pro, Desktop, Portable. 4 squares, 4 products, that's it. The result? Apple became the most valuable company in history. Why? Do less, but do it better. Second, Jiro Ono. Have you seen the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi? Jiro is considered the greatest sushi chef in the world. His restaurant is in a subway station. It has only 10 seats. He doesn't sell appetizers. He doesn't sell dessert. He doesn't have an expansive menu. He makes sushi. That's it. He has spent 80 years doing one thing. If Jiro tried to open a buffet that served pizza, burgers, and sushi, nobody would know his name. He is a legend because of his narrow focus. And finally, Warren Buffett. There is a famous story where Buffett's pilot asked him about career goals. Buffett told him, "Write down your top 25 goals." The pilot did. Then Buffett said, "Circle the top 5." The pilot did. Buffett asked, "What are you going to do with the other 20?" The pilot said, "Well, I'll focus on the top 5, but I'll work on the other 20 when I have spare time." Buffett stopped him and said, "No, you've got it wrong. Those other 20 are your enemies. They are the distractions that will stop you from achieving the top 5.
Now, let's zoom in on you. The biggest mistake I see people make is what I call the New Year's trap. You decide you want to change your life. So on Monday morning, you decide, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m., I'm going to run 5 miles, I'm going to quit sugar, I'm going to read 50 pages, and I'm going to start a podcast. You start 5 new heavy habits on the same day. This is a disaster waiting to happen. By Wednesday, you're tired. By Friday, you miss the run. By Saturday, you feel like a failure, so you eat a pizza and binge watch Netflix. You quit everything. Why? Because you tried to do too much. Compare that to the person who says, for the next 90 days, my only goal is to walk for 20 minutes a day. That's it. They nail that habit. It becomes automatic. Then they add the next thing. Success doesn't come from a radical overhaul. It comes from sequential layering. Do less first so you can do more later. So, how do we actually apply this? How do we stop the chaos? Here's the 3-step framework. Step 1. Identify the vital few. Look at your life. Apply the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. 80% of your stress comes from 20% of your activities, but conversely, 80% of your success comes from 20% of what you do. Identify that 20%. Ask yourself, if I could only accomplish one thing this year, which one would make all the other goals unnecessary or easier? That is your priority. Everything else is noise. Step 2. Ruthless elimination. This is the hard part. This is where you have to be mean. If it's not essential, it's a distraction. Start saying no. No, I won't join that committee. No, I won't go to that birthday party for a person I haven't spoken to in 5 years. Here's a trick I use. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. If an opportunity comes up and you aren't immediately excited about it, say no. Stop saying yes out of guilt. Step 3. Obsess over quality. Once you have whittled your list down to 1 or 2 things, you have no excuse. You must attack them with excellence. Depth beats breadth. always. Let's quickly look at how this looks in the real world. In work, stop multitasking. Stop keeping your email open all day. Pick the one big task that moves the needle. Do that for 4 hours of deep work. In health, stop looking for the magic supplement. Just sleep 8 hours, eat real food, and lift heavy things. Simple. In relationships, you don't need 500 friends on Instagram. You need 3 people you can call when your car breaks down at 3 a.m. Here's the bottom line. Simplifying doesn't mean life becomes easy. In fact, it can be harder. Saying no is painful. Choosing one path means grieving the paths you didn't take. But that is the price of greatness. Minimalism isn't just about having fewer clothes in your closet. It's about having fewer distractions in your soul. When you stop scattering your energy, you reclaim your life. You wake up with clarity. You move with purpose. So my challenge to you is this. Look at your to-do list, cut it in half, and then cut it in half again. Find the one thing that matters and go all in. Do less, but do it better. If this video helped you find some clarity, hit that subscribe button. I'm not here to add noise to your life. I'm here to help you find the signal. Now, go cut the noise. Thanks for watching.